The lights of the AGT stage glowed soft and golden, buzzing with electricity as the audience waited for the next audition. It was one of those nights where every seat was filled, every judge was alert, and every viewer at home felt the anticipation building. Simon Cowell leaned back in his seat, arms folded, wearing the same expression he often does when he's not expecting much. Sofia Vergara tapped her fingers lightly, smiling at the crowd. Heidi Klum crossed her legs and tilted her head with curiosity. Howie Mandel clapped along with the music playing in the background, eager for the next surprise. Then, the stage doors opened. A young Filipino teenager walked forward, clutching the microphone with both hands. He looked nervous, but determined. He had the kind of look that immediately made people root for him, humble, sweet, and slightly overwhelmed by the magnitude of the moment. His voice cracked a little as he introduced himself. He said he was from Cebu, Philippines. He said this audition was his dream since childhood. And then, almost shyly, he said the genre he loved most was Elvis Presley. The room shifted instantly. You could hear the small ripple of murmurs through the audience. Elvis. From a teenager. In this era, it was unusual, unexpected, and for many people, refreshing. The judges all perked up. Simon raised his eyebrows. Everyone knew that singing Elvis was a massive risk. It wasn't just the technical difficulty. It was the weight of expectation. Elvis wasn't just a singer. He was an icon, a voice, a legend. Choosing to sing Elvis on AGT meant you weren't merely performing a song. You were stepping into the shoes of a cultural symbol. But the Cebu teen didn't back down. The music cue began. Soft, gentle, almost haunting. A reimagined version of an Elvis classic. Slower, more emotional, more raw. The teen closed his eyes, took a long breath, and then released the first note. The audience froze. It wasn't imitation. It wasn't a copy. It wasn't a gimmick. It was a voice so warm, so rich, so golden that it felt like it came from a different time entirely. A voice that had lived 1,000 lifetimes. Deep, soulful, textured. It was the kind of voice that didn't just enter your ears, it entered your heart. The low notes were thick with emotion. The mid-range carried a nostalgic ache. The vibrato shimmered with elegance. And all of this came from a teenager who looked like he might faint from nerves. At the judges' table, everything changed. Simon Cowell leaned forward, elbows on the desk, staring like he was watching something impossible. Sophia's mouth dropped open in shock. Heidi placed her hand over her chest. Howie nodded slowly, almost rhythmically, as if absorbing every nuance of the performance. The camera panned through the audience. Some were wiping tears. Some were frozen. Some were whispering to each other, asking if this was real. It felt like the air in the room had thickened with magic, as if time itself paused to listen. The Cebu teen's voice soared higher, still controlled, still filled with soul. He wasn't copying Elvis. He wasn't trying to sound like the king. But somehow, he carried the spirit, the essence, the heart of the music in a way that made listeners feel as though Elvis had reached through time and whispered into his vocal cords. As the song built, the teen's confidence grew. His shoulders relaxed. His eyes opened. You could see him stepping into the moment, claiming the space, embracing the music that shaped his childhood. Every line of the song felt lived and loved. Every note was deliberate, careful, and honest. He sang not like someone performing for judges, but like someone telling the world who he truly was. Then came the climax. A soaring, powerful run. Smooth, effortless, overflowing with emotion. It sent shivers through the theater. By the time he held the final note, long and resonant, the audience erupted. The entire room leapt to its feet. Applause thundered. People screamed, cheered, and waved their hands in the air. The Cebu teen stared out, overwhelmed by the reaction. His knees buckled slightly. Tears filled his eyes. He covered his mouth with trembling hands. And the camera turned to Simon. Simon Cowell stood slowly, still staring, still processing. He didn't clap right away. He simply looked at the boy with an expression of awe. The kind he only shows when he has no words. When he finally clapped, he shook his head in disbelief. The teen watched the standing ovation, his eyes glistening with joy and shock. When the applause died down, Heidi was the first to speak. She said his voice was magic, that he had brought the room to life in a way few singers ever could. Sophia told him he carried the soul of a legend, the kind of emotion you can't teach. Howie said it felt like watching a superstar being born right on that stage. But everyone was waiting for Simon. Simon leaned into the microphone. He took a moment before speaking, and his voice was uncharacteristically soft. He told the teen that what he just did was extraordinary. He told him his voice was not only beautiful, but deeply emotional, deeply intelligent, deeply respectful of the music he chose. And then he said the line that would go viral. He said, "If Elvis were here today, he would be proud of that voice." The audience gasped. The teen burst into tears. Even the other judges looked stunned. Simon rarely gives out compliments. But this wasn't just a compliment. It was a declaration. A seal of approval from one of the toughest judges in the world. But Simon wasn't done. He leaned back, looked at the golden buzzer like he was considering his next move, and then, without warning, slammed his hand on it. Golden confetti exploded across the stage. The audience screamed louder than they had all night. The Cebu teen fell to his knees, crying, overwhelmed by the realization that he had just earned the highest honor on AGT. The judges rushed to hug him. The hosts ran onto the stage to lift him up. Gold rained down around him in shimmering waves as he looked up, crying, smiling, breathing in the moment he had dreamed of all his life. Backstage, he hugged his family, cried into his mother's shoulder, and kept repeating that he couldn't believe what had happened. His parents, overwhelmed with emotion, talked about how he used to sing Elvis songs in their small home in Cebu, how they never imagined he would one day sing them on one of the biggest stages in the world. That night, the video of his audition exploded across social media. Millions of views within hours. Reaction videos from vocal coaches, musicians, celebrities, and Elvis fans poured in. People around the world felt moved by the purity of his voice and the sincerity of his heart. Filipinos worldwide celebrated him as one of the brightest young talents of their generation. What made his performance so powerful wasn't just the technical skill. It was the emotion, the honesty, the connection. It was a reminder that music has no boundaries, no age limit, no expiration date. And that sometimes, the greatest voices don't come from big cities or fancy studios. Sometimes they come from quiet places like Cebu, from kids with big dreams and bigger hearts. The Cebu teen's voice wasn't a copy of Elvis. It was a tribute, a revival, a bridge between generations. It carried the nostalgia of the past and the hope of the future. And that's why people around the world connected with him. When he returned for his next performance on AGT, the pressure was enormous. Millions of people waited to see what he would sing next. But he didn't try to recreate the audition. He didn't try to outdo it. Instead, He sang with the same honesty, the same heart, the same spirit that made the world fall in love with him. And once again, he proved why Simon hit that golden buzzer. His voice wasn't just powerful. It was meaningful. It told a story. It touched people in a way few voices ever do. And that is why his journey became one of the most celebrated in AGT history. Even Elvis fans from the 50s and 60s commented online, saying this Cebu teen brought back memories they thought they had lost. Some said his voice felt like a gift. Some said he reminded them of their youth. Some said he made them cry. And as his fame grew, reporters reached out to his family in Cebu. They talked about his childhood, how he used to perform for neighbors, how he would sing in the streets, how they always believed he had something special. His story spread across the Philippines, inspiring teenagers everywhere to pursue their dreams no matter how impossible they seemed. The Cebu teen went from anonymous singer to international sensation almost overnight. His humility remained unchanged. His gratitude deepened. His passion grew fiercer. And through it all, the same comment kept appearing again and again on social media: even Elvis would be proud. As his journey on AGT continued, fans waited eagerly for each new performance, each new surprise, each new note that would remind them why music is such a powerful force. And regardless of what happens next, one thing is clear. This Filipino teenager from Cebu has already made history. He has already made an impact. He has already proven that talent, heart, and courage can lift someone from the simplest beginnings to the grandest stage in the world. And most importantly, he has shown that the spirit of music lives on in every generation, carried by voices that honor the past while shaping the future. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story of the Cebu teen whose voice stunned Simon Cowell and touched millions, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from the world of talent, music, and inspiration. Thank you for watching, and remember, greatness can come from anywhere, and sometimes, it appears in the form of a teenager with a golden voice from Cebu who sings with the soul of a legend.